Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week I've got a fairly easy job, I think. I've got to make some little bins, but they've got to be done reasonably quickly, so let's see what we can do. Now, one of the guys in the unit next door to us down at Menning Sheds came in the other day and said, could we make him some little bins for his wife? She'd got a storage unit with some baskets in it like that, and I think the material on these things flakes up and breaks apart, and she'd lost 3 of them. So he wanted us to get something that was a bit of a replacement. So I've given them a swatch of 3 different sorts of plywood, from the plain sort of stuff that we get on the packing cases to the stuff that I call stripy, which has got some sort of a pattern in it, to what they eventually chose, which is quite a dark plywood, and it matches reasonably nicely to what they've already got. So I've got to go and make some parts for that. As usual, the shed here is full of rubbish and I can't get at anything. I don't like using the circular saw in here anyway. It's a huge amount of faff to get it set up, when I can whip down to the shed and use either the saw or the bandsaw down there and get myself a kit of parts made, and then I can bring it back here and work on it from there. So it's relatively simple, 4 sides and a base, and I've got to sort some means of getting a nice cutout in the end that is consistent. So we'll probably be doing a router template of some sort. But let's go down, find ourselves some plywood down at the shed, same as this stuff, and get ripping it up into sheets. I ended up using the bandsaw for 2 reasons. Firstly, the one circular saw needs a new blade and is burning its way through the wood, and the other saw that we've got with a decent blade on it is buried so deep that I can't get at it. So I've done it on the bandsaw. I think I've got the right sizes, if you see what I mean, and I don't think there's any inconsistency between the pieces. I've got 9 fronts, 9 sides and 4 bases. I've done myself a couple of extras because I could. I've got the space on the material, but essentially now all I need to do, once we've got the little cutout done, is to put down a base and then just glue up 2 sides and a front and a back, and we'll have the necessary. I'm not going to get anything fancy with 45-degree miters on the corners or anything. It's just not going to be worth it, because you'll only see the front anyway when it's in its basket state, and to start trying to set up 45 degrees on anything with any consistency was not going to happen in the space I was down at the shed. But we'll just cut those out, glue those up, I mean, and we'll have our boxes done. Now I took these to the to Menning Sheds this morning and glued the backs onto them. Made myself some spacers that just kept the sides parallel, because there was a very slight bow in with the clamping. It had just pulled them in slightly, so we've got those glued up with one end glued with that on. Just running a router flush trim router bit along the edges to get them flush with the sides, and get that sanded up, and then we can move on to the fronts themselves.
Described this time as married but wife not en pot. Had returned to Moscow 2 weeks ago. In the annual report in this home this summer,
Now in the end I've decided to do these by hand rather than get a jig and a template sorted out, because there's only 4 of them, and in the time it'll take to do that I can have probably done them anyway. So I'm just cut them out. I've drilled Forstner bits in the corner of each one, gone with the finest jeweller's file that I've got. I'm just going to now tidy that up with a file, and that should give me a finished job like that, which will be fine. Get all those done now and we can glue up the last part ready. There's a little bit of filling to do here and there on the edges of this plywood because it's not very good, but we'll do that with filler and glue and sawdust and that later on. But I think we're on the last lap. Right, that's got those finished. They're functional enough, I think. By cutting the timber from one piece, we've got a straight run of grain all the way through. If they're in a pack of 4, a row of 4, it should look all part of the same thing. As I say, the plywood's a bit cheap. There's a few voids in it that we've filled most of them, but that should at least do a suitable replacement for the originals. So we'll take them over to the shed now. Okay, so that's got the caddy boxes done. They didn't take long. Fairly straightforward job using a bit of old scrap ply that we'd got lying around in the shed, and it's done 2 things really. It's brought us 20 or 30 quid in. I can't remember what they paid us for it now, but it also helps sort of cement our relationships with neighbours. This is the unit next door to us. We've now done jobs for the folks over the way who are a new firm that are a lithium battery producer that I did the electric cupboard for. We did the little caddies for the guy next door. We've repaired things for the guy at the cafe. We've painted tables for the guy at the cafe. And all of this sort of helps embed Men in Sheds into the community, and we get the feedback from that. There's the same relationship we've got with the church, with the school. We get sponsored by the narrowboat company over the way. So these things all have a sort of nice virtuous circle to them, that everybody's helping everybody else out. So I hope the video was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next time. We'll be doing something different in the shed. I'll see you then. Bye.